Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Insight number 6. And today I wanted to just talk about something that I came across recently. It's a quote, I don't know who it's attributed to, but it said something along the lines of you have to dismantle the stories that have kept you small. And I found this quote interesting because how do we know which stories we have been adhering to throughout our lives are actually keeping us small? I had a conversation with a friend the other day where we were talking about the biblical directive of honor your parents, and we ended up talking about what does honoring mean. Does me honoring you require me to dishonor myself? And if that is the way in which I see that directive, the way in which I interpret that directive, that I need to honor you regardless of how you show up, how you treat me, how you interact with the world, what you give back or don't give back. If I interpret that directive to mean that I need to honor this person, even at my own expense, is that really a true interpretation of honoring or even loving someone? If we look at the way Jesus interacted with people in need, whether it be the blind man or the layman or whoever it was, his approach was never to almost pander to the person in need. We are directed to be kind and to be caring and to be charitable. But if we look at Jesus's interaction with those in need, for example, with the layman, it was very obvious that the layman was in need of healing. I mean, he had spent 38 years of his life at the place where healing is supposed to take place, waiting for the opportunity. And yet, Jesus sees him unable to walk at the place where healing is supposed to take place. And yet, he asks him, do you want to be healed? Do you want to be made whole? And so the question for me is, if the directive is to honor and to be charitable and to do all of these things regardless, then what is what does that tell us about how to interact with those in need, and how to interpret the directives, the stories, the commandments that we live our lives by? What I realized is that by the way I interpret, for example, to love and honor someone, society says loving someone means, giving them everything, being good to them, being nice to them, making things easy for the person. But if we look at the reality of our daily lives, is it really loving to cater to the weakness in me? If I'm undisciplined and I don't make my bed, and I know I'm supposed to, I'm perfectly capable of it, is it loving of you to do it for me, as opposed to giving me the room, the space, the encouragement, the support to step into my own strength and nurture my own ability to make my own bed. I think that is the more loving approach. Love is a force for empowerment. However, when we look at love as, doing for others what they should be able to do for themselves, I think it's actually a disempowering application of the word love, but which means it's actually not really love, because love empowers, love pulls you up, love calls you higher. And if we are if we are allowing ourselves to adhere to old or misaligned interpretations of such commandments as, to love and to honor parents, loved ones, and so forth, then I think we are limiting ourselves, because now you have to diminish yourself in order to do for others what they should be able to do for themselves. So you cannot live life, cater to your own needs and desires to the extent that you should be able to, because you now have to take care of and look at someone else who should be able to do these things for themselves. And so when I listened to that quote of we need to dismantle the stories that have kept us small, I had to look at, okay, so especially the one of honoring and loving, what does honoring mean? What does loving mean? And I think for me, the interpretation of honoring and loving someone, honoring and loving myself, is is more from an empowerment perspective. How can I love this person and empower them? Empower them to step into their own power, their own ability, and not, obviously, if someone absolutely cannot do the thing that is required for physical or mental or whatever reasons, that is a different situation. But when you are aware that this person should be able to step into this higher level of experience, then I think it's more loving to leave space, to make room for them to do that. And when you are constantly doing for them, there is never an opportunity or even a gap in which they can take that step to try and do for themselves and strengthen themselves. And I think it even applies to ourselves, because how do I love myself? How do I expect others to love me? Do I expect the soft greeting card, roses and sunshine kind of love, or do I am I mature enough to step into the kind of love that Jesus demonstrated? He didn't just hand it out willy-nilly to anyone who looked like they were in need. He made inquiries. He required of the person asking for the healing to make an effort, to make a demonstration, to make a decision that they were ready to step into whatever the requirement was. And so I think that what the quote brought out for me is that one area that I can reinterpret is this area of love and honor. And what does it really mean to me? And to me, now, it means empowerment. What is the most empowering action, most empowering thought that I can apply to a situation, whether it be myself in a work situation, something that I'm afraid of. Is it more empowering, more loving of myself, my soul, my spirit, to back down from the thing that I'm afraid of? Or is it more empowering to step into it, regardless of the fear, and see what that action results in? So, this is the message for today. Insight number 6. Look at the stories, the so-called directives that you have been adhering to all your life, and see if there is a more empowering way to interpret those directives, so that you can move forward in a way that is more encouraging and aspirational. So I hope this message blesses you all, and have a lovely rest of your day.